Okay, I think we just start, Mr. Call. So while others,
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, let's do it. All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Carl. I am from ESTEP, and I know many of you are interested in knowing how to fund your college, different ways to fund your college in the United States, and this is one of them. It's called the CSS Profile, and the CSS Profile is administered by College Board. They're the ones who have the application where you would do it. But let's start first with a couple of important terms that you need that you might have gotten even from the university. A lot of you have received letters from universities about, hey, send me your information, send me your financial information, send me all that stuff, so we know that you are you can pay for your college, right? So even though for the BIM students, even though you still don't know yet what the funding process is going to be like. I know you looked at scholarships from different countries as well, but this is another way for you to fund the top universities in the United States, to which most of you have applied to. So here's some terminology which you should really be familiar with. Need blind. What's need blind mean? Basically, need blind is the admissions makes a decision not taking into consideration or knowing what your financial situation is, right? So they don't really care what your financial situation is as long as you um, are a good scholar and you were accepted. All right. And they will help you go to school. If Harvard accepts you because they want you in their school. So that's what need blind is. They will help you pay for the school. Okay. Need aware or need sensitive basically is a financial need is considered during the admissions process. So the universities, they have to manage their budgets and their endowment, and students are required, maybe required more aid, and they may face lower admission chances. So that's need aware. So need aware is not necessarily merit based, unlike need blind. Need-based aid is aid awarded based on the family's financial situation to cover education costs, right? Which includes grants, scholarships, work studies, and maybe low interest rates on loans and things of that nature. Okay. So these are basically how the university looks at you in a sense of how you're going to pay for the university. All right. Then there is merit-based aid, and that's really aid awarded to your academic achievements, your grades, your extracurricular activities, your SAT scores, and so on. Maybe you did some research, internships, all that type of stuff. So it includes scholarships and grants that are often used to attract the top students. And most universities that you apply to do offer some merit-based aid. Not 100% necessarily, but they offer something. Okay. So if you get your LOA, it will obviously say, congratulations, you're accepted to Harvard University, and we extend to you $20,000. But that $20,000 is not going to be able to pay for all of your university. It'll pay for a small portion of it. So you have to be aware of that. You have to be aware of that. Full need met, universities commit to covering 100% of your student demonstrated financial need, right? So it really ensures your affordability, right, for admitted students, regardless of financial background. They don't care. They will cover you 100%. And again, that's also merit based. Gap is the difference between financial aid awarded and the student's demonstrated financial need. And that is what the CSS is all about. All right. You will apply through CSS, and they will determine through an algorithm how much you can afford depending on what they send you, or what you send them, rather, what you send them in the sense of your financial information, tax returns, bank statements, things like that. Okay. What's this profile? What's the CSS profile? All right. It's not a scholarship necessarily. It's basically, if you get into the university or even before you apply, and we'll go through that, what you can afford, right? So over 400 colleges are part of this non-federal financial eligibility, all right, including international students. If you go on the CSS profile, you will see what universities accept international students. Okay, so be very, very careful about that. Required mainly by private institutions and some public colleges, but it's mostly private. The state schools are not that keen on this type of financial aid because their endowments are a lot less. They're basically run by the particular state. Essential for international students. So what's good about it is that they do offer for international students, but you really have to take a look at the list because some universities on the list don't deal with international students as it leads to aid. All right, so be very careful if the university that you are applying to or have applied to, just make sure that they do give you a CSS profile for international students, and it's clearly written on the CSS profile on College Board. What are the benefits? All right, it provides a more tailored financial aid assessment to you guys, increases access to your institution and aid and beyond federal options, right? So it really gives you, and most of the time, depending on what your needs are, it can give you a full scholarship. We've had students who received a full ride with CSS. It's required by many top universities for financial consideration. Who's giving you that money are the colleges, not a separate fund, not the government. It's the colleges that give you the money through their endowments. All right. So here are some of the top universities that do accept the CSS for international students. So you see all the of course all the Ivy Leagues are there. The top universities there as well. MIT down to Vanderbilt and liberal arts colleges, Amherst, Williams, Swarthmore, and more. So you see these are the top universities that really accept this. Okay, so Harvard, especially the Ivy Leagues, they want, if you're accepted to an Ivy League, that means that they want you. So if you can't pay for it, this is the way for you to get it paid. Okay, so here are some of the due dates. So those who apply to these universities, be aware of the due dates on the CSS profile. The due dates are there. Notice that it's coming up soon. Okay, so these are some of the dates that you want to take a look. Each university has their own due date. So go on the CSS profile when you open your account on College Board and take a look at the due date. Okay. All right. What do they need from you? Of course, your ID, passport, your tax returns, bank statements, any assets that your family have, whether it's let's say stock, bonds, things like that. Okay. Real estate, parent employment detail. They want to know where your parents work, and information on siblings attending college. Let's say you do have a sibling that's already in college. That helps. That helps. So they see that your parents are paying for another sibling. All right. That always helps. So just really give them what they want. Assessing the profile, go on cssprofile.collegeboard.org. All right, and go through it. In fact, there's a great YouTube explanation on it. So it's very well spelled out. Create your College Board account, and most of you have a College Board account because you took the SAT, so you already have the account. But just go onto the CSS profile, or just put in search CSS profile, and it'll go right to that page. Log into your account and navigate through the whole profile and read thoroughly because it will give you a detailed information on how to apply and what universities are participating and the deadlines. Okay. All right. So the section that you have to fill out, of course, your name, your contact information, citizenship, phone number, email, all that stuff, your educational background, the whole bit. Your parents' information, which is very important because they want to know their employment, date of birth, their income, and education. Household information, basically how many members are in the family, expenses such as your rent or mortgage, electricity, any expenses that you incur. It will be listed detailed. You just have to click on, okay, for rent I pay so much, or for my mortgage I pay so much. So you just have to fill out the information. All right. Financial information, like I said, income, assets, liabilities, right? Untaxed income, things of that nature. Okay. Student financial information, if you worked or if you have you got a scholarship or anything like that, they want to know. Okay. This all goes into an algorithm, right? So after you complete that information, they review the data for accuracy, and then you submit the application. And you submit the application. There's a fee. It's a small fee. And then you can get fee waivers as well. Just like you get fee waivers for applying to a university, you can get fee waivers as well for those who demonstrate they need to do it. They have financial needs. Okay. All right. After they get all that stuff together, right? They get your the college may request additional information, all right, beyond what you do for the CSS. And check your email all the time. They'll send you an email saying that they received it. They'll send you an email and saying that they might need some extra things that maybe you didn't submit or forgot to submit. So they're keeping on top of it. All right. If you're getting a scholarship or a loan or whatever, any grants, all that has to be mentioned. Okay. So here's an example of a profile. Again, your student information, date of birth, your address, all the basic stuff that you kind of like filled out when you did the Common App, right? Or when you even filled out the SAT profile. All right. Except you're going to give them a lot more information, which is the financial information. Okay. All right. Be accurate. Track the deadlines. Right. Go on either the college website or on CSS. All right. Seek help. Contact financial offices if needed. All right. And start as early as possible. I know that there's some deadlines that are very, very close. All right. But still, you want to even, let's say you passed the deadline. I had a student who passed the deadline for a university. They called the university up and they extended them a little bit more. Okay. Now, if you receive a LOA from an Ivy League, and there are some who've gotten to Cornell, let's say, and you need this help, you can always call financial aid office at Cornell and say, hey, I got in. I was supposed to get a scholarship. It didn't come through or partially came through. How can you help me? And like I said before, if they accepted you, they want you. So they'll work with you. Okay, they'll work with you as well. But they're going to need all this information, okay, to help you out. This information is put into an algorithm, and what does it do? It pumps out how much you could afford to pay for the particular university you're applying for. Right? It will say, okay, you got into Harvard. According to your financial information, you could afford $10,000. Or you can't afford anything. We will pay it in full. Okay, so when they get with the information, that's what they do. They make sure that it's accurate, and then they calculate according to the information you sent them, the financial information you sent them, how much you could afford, if any. Okay. Okay. So basically this is something that is a plan B. We still don't know yet what BIM is going to offer you. So that's still in the air. That's why you have to just pretend that they're not going to offer you anything. Okay. They may even do the CSS themselves. They might say, okay, hey, we want your financial information to see how much you can afford. They may do that. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that as well. So this is a good way for you to start getting all your financial information together, because you might have to present it either to, of course, CSS, and maybe BIM will ask for it. All right. So as you guys know, the government's budget has been cut in half. So you have to be very, very aware of this. And we want you to go to the US as well. And so we're going to help you as much as we can for that to happen. Right. But you got to do the work. So that way we can help you out. We can call some universities on your behalf if need be, especially those who are merit based. In other words, who have great grades and who've gotten into an Ivy League and you can't afford it. Let's help you out. Even the schools that are the mid-tier schools that have the CSS profile, we'll try to help you out. Okay. But it's important that you fill this out. or start filling it out, and that way they get this in time. But put all this financial information together, because you're going to need that for your I-20 also when you have to get your education visa. They want to see all that too. They want to see, they want you have to show them that you can prove, and this goes for most countries, that you can pay for the tuition, the first year's tuition. Okay, so this stuff you need anyhow. Okay, so I think as you see, it's pretty straightforward, and you're open to questions. So please feel free. Let's see here what we got. I wanted to add, BIM turns out to fund us at university. Can we deny CSS profile funding? Well, here's the thing. If you get, and I'm not 100% sure, but if you get CSS funding and BIM knows about it, okay, let's say you don't get the full CSS funding, you get 50%. Maybe they'll cover the other 50%. Again, this is still stuff that's being discussed. All right. But I would go through the process as if BIM is not giving you the funding. Okay, as if they're not giving you the funding. Okay, so go through that process. If they give you the funding, great. Alhamdulillah, if they give you the funding, right? But at the same time, if they don't, you got your backup. And this is for any university, not just the United States. Okay. I hope I answered that question. All right. Any other questions? Any other
Mr.
questions?
Carl, can I
Yeah.
ask? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mr. Carl. We actually already sent the application to the university, and
Great.
actually for the sake of being admitted, we are not asking for financial aid, including for the need blinds.
Okay.
If we later on complete the CSS, is it still can be used with that situation?
So
Assuming we already passed the deadline for CSS.
Again, what I would do is if you pass the deadline, I would contact the school, the financial aid department. Each school has a financial aid department. I would contact the school. There have been cases with us, with our students, that they passed the deadline a little bit, and the school let them complete it and send it in. So
Is
it's
it
really
for,
up to the school, up to the
yeah,
school.
okay. Is it for need blinds or need aware?
Yeah. Need blind, right? Or the gap, right? The gap meaning, hey, I can only pay so much, and that, yes.
Okay, still,
Okay.
we can use that strategy even though the university is actually need aware.
If they're need aware, they're probably not on the CSS list. You can see any universities that were need aware that were on the CSS list? Probably not. So the thing is that if it's need aware, and they're on the CSS list, then yes, definitely do it. Definitely fill it out.
Okay.
But there are probably very few need aware that are on the CSS profile, if any. So just double check on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think they have, but of course they have a deadline for that.
Yeah, true. So if
Okay.
you apply to that university, especially if and again we can talk, we can talk one-on-one, just so I can say, hey, you have a good chance to get in. Then we can see then I would probably say yes, definitely contact the school financial aid office and see what they can do.
Yeah.
They'll
Okay.
work with you, especially if you got the LOA, or it's a school that you feel, again, I would have to assess that too, that you feel that you might get in. So if you want to email me, or just email here info, and I can take a look at your information. I have it, or just send me your name. We have all your information, so I can kind of give you an idea. But yeah, contact the school. Either
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Either way.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Karen. I think I have one more.
Sure.
I just wondering, since we feel lots of information within the CSS, will it be validated by the university later on?
Yes, the university are the ones who validate it. Actually, CSS will validate it for the university, right? The
Okay.
university compiles all the information, they go through it, and they validate everything. And then they submit it to the university. Okay. So they're kind of like the uh the workers that get all your information, they put it into it, they organize it, they put it into that algorithm, right, to see what you can pay or if any, and then they submit it to the university, and the university will decide yes or no.
Okay.
Okay.
Since the information is well quite a lot, and we might use some estimate maybe for the numbers. How big is the discrepancies that can be tolerated?
Okay. You if you estimate, that's fine, but be aware that they might ask you for the information. Okay. If you estimate something, assets, or whatever you estimate, they might, if you don't have the backup, they might ask for it. So be prepared for that.
Hmm.
Be prepared for that.
Okay.
Okay. So if it's a big number, yeah, they're definitely going to ask you for a backup. If it's a smaller number that doesn't really change much, maybe they won't. But be prepared to, they'll
Yeah.
send you an email saying, "Hey, we need this information. We need a bank statement, or we need
Yeah.
a document that will back this up." Right? They'll ask you.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Carl.
Sure, 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 sure.
Mr. Call, I have a question from Fiona.
Okay.
Do we need to submit our submitted official tax return for 2024? What do we do
It,
if it's not ready yet?
if you don't have 2024, then the last 2 years. The last 2 years.
Oh, the last 2 years. So
Yeah. If you don't have
2022.
2024, most people don't have 2024. I don't have 2024, right? So it's the last 2 years. Okay. Because usually 2024, the tax returns are due for me April, right?
Mhm.
So don't worry about it if you don't have 2024. Just submit your last 2 years. So 2022, 2023, right? Do that.
Okay.
And you can write, don't have it yet. And then they may ask you to estimate it, all right? But if you don't have it yet, then
The,
just the last 2 years.
the last 2 years. Okay. Uh, does that answer your questions, Fiona? I hope it does.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. But
Okay.
that's what it is. If they ask you for an estimate, they may do that. Okay, what's your tax estimate? Because every year your taxes are pretty similar unless you make a lot of money or something like that, or got a new job making a lot more money, right? So usually the taxes in 2 year increments are pretty similar, right? Unless you have a major financial event. You sold a property, you got a job and making more money,
Mhm.
so it's usually the year to year is not a big difference, right? But if something came up that in 2024 that reduced your assets significantly, I would send a note about that, right? We lost our house, or my father got unemployed, or something like that. All right. Please mention that if it happened in 2024 and your tax return isn't ready yet. So if there's a drastic change from 2023 to 2024, please just write a note about that. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Ada pertanyaan lain? Any other question?
Maybe one question more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Carl, in addition to the reason for being admitted, actually, the reason for us not asking for financial aid is on the assumption that BIM or the government will support us. So after we achieve LOA, then later on, we found out that the fund is not ready for some kind of a reason. Is it a strong reason for us to as the university for the financial aid?
You can report to the university, and a lot of students have asked me that you are you're a BIM scholar, which everybody did, right? On their Common App, and that you're gonna get financial aid, right? Things change, right? Hey, look at the US. All right. So things change. So they'll say you're accepted. And you can say, uh-oh, dear admissions people, thank you so much. But the government now reduced my financial aid to half, right? Or zero, right? So you can prove that you were in the BIM, you were in the BIM and all that type of stuff. You can prove that, right? But at the same time, if something happened like that, you have to write to the school. Remember, schools, if you're accepted, they want you. So you got to go to them and say, hey, we're going to get the scholarship, but it fell through. And can I, do a CSS for you, or how can you help me? Remember, and I like to say this all the time because it's true, they accepted you, they want you. Okay. But they want to make sure you can pay for it, and they'll help you if need be. All right. Okay.
So that's in school, that includes the need aware schools, right?
Yes. Absolutely. They should need aware.
Quite
Need aware
relieving.
is like, but again, need aware schools are a little bit trickier, right? But at the same time,
Yeah.
I just say, because a lot of students are rejected because of the need aware,
Yeah.
because of that, right?
Right.
Because they want to make sure that you can pay for it and stuff like that. But if you tell them, and I told and many of my BIM students that, hey, you're getting a scholarship, things changed. Oops, they're not giving it anymore. But I got in. Now what? We have a couple of kids who got into Cornell,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If BIM doesn't give them the funding, we're going to fight for that. We're going to fight for them, right? Contact the university and stuff like that. So, that's kind of like how you have to treat it. That's how you have to treat it.
Okay. Thank you, Masakar. It's quite relieving.
Pak Dimas, sorry. May I ask, where did you apply to? Where your
We applied to lots,
oh.
basically.
What's your top university that you applied to?
Well, I'm quite shy for mentioning those. Maybe
Oh,
later
okay.
on, if we already reach the LOA.
Okay.
So,
Okay. All right.
so you haven't received any LOA from those universities?
We have one from the safety school,
Oh, safety
Oh,
school.
one of our safety school, but
okay.
we
In the
still
US?
waiting a lot.
Yeah.
We applied to a lot, actually.
Yeah, I
Later
know.
on, we'll inform
Yeah,
you
yeah. So
personally, man.
once you get your LOAs, let us know. All right. Because
Yeah,
again, we're not sure what BIM is doing
we
yet.
too we don't know that
Yeah.
too.
We don't know. I mean, we don't know. They're still talking about it. They're still talking
Yeah,
about it. They may also do a program like CSS. They may ask for your financial information, and if you could afford something, they'll ask you for that, right? So
yeah,
it's still in the air right now. They're still figuring it out.
yeah.
All right. So once we know, we'll let you know, but I'm sure that you'll find out as quickly as we.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Gar.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Mr. Carl, what's the difference with FAFSA? CSS
FAFSA is
Profile.
only for US citizens. Um,
Ah,
and FAFSA actually is a loan. You have to pay it back, right? You have to pay it
ah.
back, right? So you have to pay you have to pay that back through a long period of time, right? But you still have to pay it back. Where CSS, they're giving you the money. It's not a loan, right? It's not a loan. Okay.
Another term, IDOC.
You want to know what IDOC is?
Yeah.
Or you know what IDOC is?
What is it?
Or you got that from CSS?
Documentation service.
You get it from CSS?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
That's
think
basically,
that CSS and iDoc sometimes being asked from the same university.
that's usually like an intermediate document that they're asking, right? So it's like a documentation service, right? It's basically an institutional documentation service, right? Or the CSS. Okay. It's kind of like what that is, because CSS is doing that. They're taking your documents, right? IDOC and CSS are the same, right? It's just kind of like when they say IDOC, it means they're taking all your documents and putting it together, right? So it's kind of like IDOC is just like CSS. It's the same function. Okay. So that's kind of like what IDOC means. Institutional Documentation Service. And that's what CSS is. They're a service to get all your documents together, right? And send it on to the university with their opinion. Their opinion is this student can pay X amount, or the student cannot pay anything. That's what their service is to the university. Okay. Any other question?
Oke, ada lagi pertanyaannya?
Again, feel free to contact
Yeah.
us when you start getting in information, letters from universities saying, hey, I want this, I want that, right? Or CSS comes back to you and says, you're missing this, you're missing that, right? You come back to us and do it. Always, what I suggest is when you apply to a university, you get a portal link, right? Everybody gets a portal link. So you apply to wherever, they send you a portal link. And in that portal link is where they will tell you what's going on. I need this, I'm missing a letter of recommendation, I'm missing your IELTS score, your SAT score, whatever, right? But what I would do is if you are going through or want to go through the CSS process, be in touch, send an email to the financial aid office of the university. The sooner you contact them, the better you're informed, and the better they're informed or what your intentions are. Okay. So I would do that.
Mr. Carl, I have another question, if not
Yeah, go ahead, Dimas.
about
Go
to
ahead.
you. I'm seeing that some university have certain threshold for the full scholarship. Some universities say it is $75,000, another 150. Basically, they have a different number for that. I just
Yes.
wondering whether the number is on US dollar per se, or they will convert it and adjust it maybe to purchasing power parity in Indonesia, or some kind of adjustment for that.
Unfortunately, it's on US dollars. I know that the dollar shot up, right, in the past
Yeah.
few months. Yeah. So unfortunately, it's on the US dollar. They will not adjust it to any foreign currency. Okay. So
So it's
that's
kind of a benefit for us if we have in rupiah
yeah,
and
because they're going to be paying you guys in dollars. I mean, they're going to be funding you in dollars, right? And stuff like that too. But Indonesia, the BIM, besides cutting their budget in half, oops, the dollar went up, right? So
right.
they're probably trying to figure that out, right? When you guys started, it was 15,000 something. Now it's 16,000,
Mm,
almost 16,000 and a half, right?
yeah.
So that might be another consideration that BIM will have for the funding and what they plan to do and all that type of stuff.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Again,
Thank you.
I can't speak for BIM. They're still trying to figure it out. They're brainstorming every day, I think. So uh hopefully they'll come up with a solution that would help you guys.
Right. Thank you, Mr.
But
Carl.
that's why CSS is important for you guys to fill out.
Thank you.
So really contact the financial aid office, especially when you get those who got your ED or EA and it was an LOA. Those guys who got into Cornell and other top universities, contact financial aid office right away. Tell them the situation. Okay. And they'll work with you. They'll work with you. All right. I wish I had more answers about BIM. I don't, unfortunately. That's up to them. They'll let you know. But for ulterior funding, this is probably the best for the US. Now, universities do give also a separate merit scholarship. I think that you had mentioned that. They might say, okay, you're accepted and we'll give you $35,000 against $100,000, right? So they have a maximum depending every year they have their maximum and minimums because it depends on their endowment of that year. So some are more generous than others, right? So they'll offer you, most universities offer you something. They call it scholarship, I call it discount, right? Mostly they offer something. So you're going to get, let's say, some of them are, like I said, some of them are more generous. They might say, okay, like double PI tends to be quite generous. Their tuition could be 60,000, and they'll give you half, 50% sometimes, right? So, it all depends. That's why we like to accompany you guys once you get your LOAs to see how we could help you negotiate or give you advice on negotiating for the universities. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, sorry.
Mr. Carr, you're
Contact
mute.
us. Yeah, contact us for any questions during this time between now and when you get your LOA. But if you did I have some students in the background. If you did apply for CSS or still want to, contact the university. Please, especially the financial aid office, as soon as possible.
Oke, jadi cek university deadline-nya juga kapan dan harus cepat kalau mau submit CSS profile. Oke, I think one more question or
If not, just you know where to contact us. You know how to find. You guys know how to find. You know how to find us. All right.
Yes.
Just ask us as you get information from the school. I mean, some students have sent me letters that they got from the school, stuff like that. And that way I can give you better advice once I see what they want and stuff like that.
Okay. I think that's all. I think we have finished the webinar today. Thank you everyone for joining. Kalau ada pertanyaan lagi mungkin Bapak Dimas, Iren dan Fiona bisa langsung chat WA kita. Saya taruh di chat box kalau masih ada pertanyaan, atau boleh di email kami di info@step.asia. Okay, I think that's all, Mr. Carr. We're end the webinar now.
Okay, guys, good
Okay.
luck and keep in touch. Okay, we're going to be in touch with you guys. We want to know your LOAs and all that. So we'll always be in touch with you guys just to see how it's going until you make that final decision. Okay, have a good night. Have a good weekend coming up, and I'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you.